Hello, welcome back. Today, we will be talking about a very powerful man of God. What if I told you a man called down fire from heaven not once but twice? This is the story of Elijah, a prophet who stood alone against hundreds, faced off with kings, and walked so closely with God that he never even seen death. Israel was in trouble. King Ahab and Queen Jezebel had led the nation into deep sin, turning their hearts away from the true God and leading them into the worship of Baal, a false god. The people have forgotten that God who delivered them from Egypt, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But God hadn't forgotten them. So he raised up Elijah, a bold prophet who wasn't afraid to stand for truth. And Elijah didn't just preach, he challenged the nation to make a choice. Would they serve the Lord or would they continue in their adultery? The showdown on Mount Carmel, Elijah called for a dramatic contest. 450 prophets of the Baal versus one prophet of the Lord. The rules were simple. Both sides would prepare a sacrifice, but they weren't allowed to light the fire themselves. Instead, the real God, the one with true power, who sent fire from heaven, Baal's prophets went first. They built their altar, placed their sacrifice on it, and started calling on their God. They shouted, they danced, they even cut themselves, hoping that their blood will move their God to act. Hours passed, nothing. Then Elijah stepped forward. He rebuilt the Lord's altar, symbolizing the restoration of true worship in Israel. Then, to make it clear that this wasn't a trick, he poured water all over the sacrifice, so much that it ran down and filled a trench around the altar. Then Elijah prayed, Lord, let it be known today that you are God in Israel and that I am your servant. And suddenly, boom, fire fell from heaven. Not only did it consume the sacrifice, but it burned up the wood, the stones, and even the water. The people fell on their faces and cried out, the Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. But that was just one of Elijah's many miracles. He prayed and God stopped the rain for 3 years, a direct challenge to Baal, who was supposed to be the god of fertility and storms. He raised a widow's son from the dead, proving that God has power over life and death, my God. He outran a chariot. That's right, when the power of God came upon him, my God, he ran faster than King Ahab's royal horses. Talk about supernatural strength. This reminds me of Isaiah 40 and 31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Elijah's strength didn't come from himself. It came from trusting God. But Elijah's story didn't end like most. One day, while walking with his disciple Elisha, a chariot of fire appeared. Before Elisha could even react, Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. No funeral, no grave, just straight into God's presence. Imagine that. And here's the amazing part. Elijah's faith didn't just disappear. It was passed on to Elisha, proving that when we stand boldly for God, our faith can impact generations. That's why 2 Kings 2 and 9 says, Elisha said, let me inherit a double portion of your spirit. And God answered that request. Elisha went on to perform more miracles than Elijah did. What this means for you, Elijah wasn't just a prophet. He was a man of bold faith. He trusted God when no one else would. And here's the part that should encourage you the most. The Bible says in James 5:17, Elijah was a man with a nature like ours, and he prayed earnestly. That means Elijah wasn't some superhuman. He had fears, doubts, and struggles, just like us. But what made him different? His faith, his willingness to trust God and stand for truth. Can work through him. He can work through you too. So let me ask you, are you willing to stand for God even when no one else does? The same God who sent fire from heaven, the same God who answered Elijah's prayers is still the same today. If this inspired you, hit that like button, share this video, and let me know in the comments which part of Elijah's story amazed you the most. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful Bible stories. May God bless you.